All right. Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 5th. We are here in Keaton Beach. I am Captain Jay Carson. This is Captain Kenny Mullins. And tonight we've got Captain Brent Woodard with us of Real Native Charters. Brent, we want to appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank y'all for having me, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is the April edition of the Big Bend Fishing Report. Like I said, I'm Captain Jay Carson, and this month is brought to you by Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals. We are here in Keaton Beach. We are actually filming at the Keaton Beach Trading Post, and we're going to talk more about Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals here in just a little bit. But just to give you a quick rundown, they've got 5 different units that you can rent right here in Keaton Beach, from places that sleep up to 10 to little one-room units that if you just come in with a buddy, you can rent those out as well. So they got a little bit of everything. And it's right, all their stuff is right on the water. They all got wet slips, ice, and all that stuff, so it's really cool. You can, if you want to go check out what they've got going on, it's at KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com. Make sure you scroll down just a bit, because the first link that pops up is for VRBO, and want to make sure that you send them to their website directly. So if you get a chance to do that, please go check that out. Again, they've got 5 different units from, very big houses, and you got a lot of clients. We both kind of have clients that stay there. So
I stayed in 2 of the houses this month,
and nothing but good things to say about Stephanie and George and their rentals here. So we want to appreciate them sponsoring us for this month. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. Like I said, it is April. It is spring. We are right in the middle of the spring stuff. The only thing that we're really having to deal with is weather, man. It's been like
ridiculous.
Just, only a couple good days a week, really. I mean, as far as the weather
March
goes.
never ended, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's been ridiculous. Like then we got a front coming through today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So it's pretty much wiping out 3 days. I mean, you can slip out there maybe for a few hours between that stuff, but it's been tough to fish around. But when you can get out, it's been good. Agree?
It's been good.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Go
ahead.
This time last year, we had some really cold fronts come through and kind of kept our bait knocked out, and I'm starting to see some good schools of bait. So,
well, now that you're talking about that, let's just give people a quick rundown of water temp, clarity. We've had a bunch of rain too. I think in the month of March we were approaching 20 inches. Most of our rivers are in flood stage or close to it.
Yep.
I don't think the Steenhatchee river is officially in flood stage, but I know it's right there close to it. I know the Osceola River is in flood stage. St. Mark's River is close to flood stage. So Swanee is close to flood stage.
That's what I'm seeing, a bunch of red water.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I got a whole lot of clarity.
Yeah,
76, I think, is what I'm running with right now.
We got some clarity, but it's definitely stained. And the farther in our area, the farther north you go, north and west, it gets really dark.
Yeah. So I mean, and it seems like the clarity hasn't affected the bite too much. It's been pretty consistent.
Right.
Just depending on.
It'll get better as it cleans up.
The fresh water has affected kind of movement patterns and where some are holding in certain areas.
For sure.
Certain regions, I should say.
Yeah. So, we got a cut front coming through next few days. We've got a little bit of a temperature drop again. But let's just kind of give people a quick rundown as far as what you're seeing in terms of, let's start with trout. Let's, obviously the mainstay of our area, what people, kind of come to us to fish for. Let's just give a quick rundown on what trout, what you're seeing, what you've been catching them on, size of the fish that you've been catching, and Kenny, why don't you start us off on that one?
All right, yeah, it's been good. Been seeing a lot of movement recently with this weather, but been for the early or end of last month, probably the last couple of weeks, been mainly catching them shallow and from the shoreline, 2.5, 3.5 feet. Lots of big trout, but some gators and then a bunch of upper slots.
Yeah, you caught a nice fish the other day, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that fish.
Had a guy on the boat, his first time ever saltwater fishing from North Carolina. His first trout was 27-inch trout.
There you go.
Oh yeah, he looked at me and said,
Didn't even know what he had.
He's holding it in his hand. He says, "Mr. Kenny, this is my first trout. Is this a good one?"
Yeah,
Didn't
I'd
even
say
know.
27 is there's not. I probably catch 3 a year that are 27 or over.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and the other his boys that was with him, they had learned how to work a walk the dog.
right,
Skidder
yeah.
walk,
Talk
a
about
skidder
talk
walk.
about what he caught it on. Too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of
that-
a cool story.
So they were walking the dog skidder walk and just they were catching trout after trout, and he knew that he couldn't do that. So he said, "Do you have anything that I could use, or maybe you can help me learn this?" And I said, "Well, I've got some prop baits in the box. I said, let's just put one on." Had him cast it out there and just straight reel it. It's kind of sounds like a whopper plopper, the noise.
Yeah.
And he just was hammering them, redfish, trout, one after another, catching 5 to 1 against those guys.
Yeah, and a lot of the old timers, that's all they used to use is those prop baits.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that we've
woodman.
kind of gotten away from here, and maybe just fish aren't as used to seeing those, so it might be something to switch up to.
Yeah, and I put him in the boat just for that
Yeah.
reason,
Yeah.
because not everyone can work can walk the dog, but
Yeah.
Whether-
I've never
whether
caught
it's-
as many on like a whopper plopper either. Like
yeah,
I hear guys catching them, but I just never.
Oh, yeah,
never done real good with them like a skidder walk.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean these prop baits were, like I said, they were catching 5 to 1 against the skidder walk that day.
Yeah. And it was overcast and cloudy, and I
Yep.
think you had some,
Yep.
prefrontal conditions too, which had them kind of fired up too. Which
Oh
is
yeah,
always a great.
it was right before those nasty storms
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. So that's always, if you can get out before that front comes through, it's always a great time. Especially this time of year, because the water's warmed up considerably, and so if you
Well,
can
it
get up-
warms up and then we get a front, it drops back down.
Because I was out Sunday after the front came through, and the bite was considerably slower on Sunday than it was before it.
Well, I went out that morning and,
Yeah.
and we did great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was phenomenal for the 2 hours we were out there.
Yeah, and then
And we went back out as soon as that rain quit. We went right back out, and the water had dropped. It was like 5 or 6 degrees just from that rain, and we didn't do good at all.
Yeah.
We were seeing fish everywhere, especially reds. I mean, reds were pushing everywhere, but just couldn't get them to eat.
Right. Yep. So Brent, I know you fish a little bit more of the kind of the southern region of our area. If you kind of give people a rundown of maybe the range that you cover, and then maybe kind of what you're seeing as far as trout goes down in that
so
area.
I'm pretty much horseshoe or cedar key. Sometimes I'll be bouncing over to Swanee, but pretty much same thing Kenny said. Catching them real shallow if you're looking for your big gator
the big
trout.
fish are shallow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going a little deeper for your limits, especially in cedar key. It seems I'm running like leaders, almost 40, 45 inches.
Yeah.
Using popping corks.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Then we
How-
also got
how
a big
deep a
push
water?
of like 5.5 is what I got a limit in yesterday.
That's where I was at this morning.
Yeah, 5.5.
about 5
But
feet.
I'm having to run those long leaders to catch them. It's usually you can get away with, the same leader, low tide or high tide, but I'm literally having to make them longer, then shorten them up. You know what I mean? But and rock grass, man. I don't know if y'all have a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what we got to find in Cedar Key right now. Horseshoe, pretty much same exact thing y'all are doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just an extension of y'all's grass flat,
And,
really.
and where does that water start to darken up for you guys down there? There's kind of a line, right? I mean, where,
So if you leave like from Horseshoe, as soon as you get past Whack 'em Up Creek, it'll start cleaning
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Then everything back that way is red.
Okay.
Back towards the Swanee. Then it'll clean up again in Cedar Key.
About halfway between.
Yeah,
Cedar Key and
yeah. Then get dirty again once you get to
Yeah.
Waukesha.
And then ours is basically from Steenhatchee all the way up to, some of the Spring Warrior areas is where it starts to kind of get dark.
It's depending on wind
Yeah.
and water too.
Yeah.
Like there's days where the Swanee water is literally all the way up to almost Cedar Key Airport.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep. All right, so that's kind of the rundown on trout. Some baits that we've been catching. Topwater has been working phenomenally on those fish inshore and those bigger fish. And then I
Yeah,
guess as you were working
I'll tell you
on-
what I've been throwing mainly. When we're not fishing topwater.
Right.
Has been the 5-inch saltwater sass and shads, primarily in watermelon slice, Laguna shrimp, and lime truce.
Yep. All right, so there you go. All right, let's talk a little redfish. Obviously there's our area is very well known for redfish, and We got a local legend in the building with us
Peanut
tonight too.
gallery.
Yeah, we got Captain Evan Snow, who used to do the show with me, is in. So we might reach out to him here in a little bit and not bring him on, but maybe get some comments from here in a minute. So. And guys, also too, I see some of the questions coming in. Dante, I see your questions. Johnson, Jason, appreciate you. Comment on those. We do a question and answer section at the end of the show, kind of, so stick around, and I'm going to get to some of those. John Minix, real quick, asked, what is a prop bait? So, you just mentioned it. You want to tell somebody what a prop bait is?
Basically, it's a topwater lure that has
A propeller.
a propeller blades
Yeah.
on the front and the rear.
Right. If you're familiar with bass fishing, tiny
That's
torpedo.
where you have to find them.
Yeah,
Can-
yeah.
can
The
you
bass
put pictures
section,
on there
pretty
while
much.
we're live?
I don't think I don't have one
I got
readily available.
That's what I was wondering if I could send it.
Oh yeah, I mean you could show it. You could show the people up on. You could show
Pretty
the
much
camera.
go to your best bass
let's
fishing
see if
this-
tackle store.
Yeah.
And you'll find them.
Oh, so I'll
See if I can get this to.
yeah, you
show.
should be able to put that up there.
See if I can.
Yeah, that'll work. I think. Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
there you
Yeah,
go.
perfect.
got
Yeah,
a big
so it's
player.
got a prop on the front and the back, and just
Three
makes a
hooks.
good
Most of them
go
have
ahead.
good sound to it there. So that's a prop bait, John. Like we said, a lot of people don't use them anymore, but they are phenomenal baits. All right, so redfish, like I said, redfish. Top water. I mean, they've been hitting top water. They've been hitting
Top water.
gold spoons. All your traditional
All the
red,
soft
all,
plastics.
yeah, all your traditional red
Pretty much
baits
everything.
have
Shrimp.
been producing live bait, cut bait, whatever you want to use right now.
Yeah.
They're scattered out. They're kind of somewhat scattered out on low tide, and then they seem to be kind of stacking up on high tide. So if you can find those spots where they're stacking up,
I've
you
been
can
finding them stacked up on low. You just
it's
gotta
farther
find 'em.
out. Yeah,
you just
farther
gotta
out.
find 'em.
Yep. Are you guys seeing any red? I mean, I haven't really seen any big schools of redfish, I would say, but
I've seen some smaller schools.
No comment.
Yeah.
There's definitely some schooling.
So yeah, I mean, redfish bite's been good. Like we said, the bait, they've been, when those redfish start to track down a topwater bait is when it gets fun.
Yep.
So there's your redfish report. So we're gonna roll that into our tackle tip, which is Brent's gonna handle. We usually have our guest tackle the tackle tip every month, and so it's a little different this month. Brent, you're gonna talk a little bit about something I don't think we've ever talked about.
I figured I'd switch it up, and cast net is something I've never seen y'all really talk about, or
For sure.
it's something y'all probably don't use a whole lot, I imagine.
I used to, not anymore.
Yeah. But so yeah, that's been my first thing in the morning, man, is going out and getting mullet and throwing that, cut up against the bars, and that's one thing you can put in front of a red, and 95% of the time he can't resist it. And you can't teach everybody to throw a topwater. We all know that. Probably if you're starting off, I would get a 6-footer. Is about the easiest one to learn, then just work your way up from that. 8's about all you really need in our area, till you get, obviously down towards
So
Tampa.
let me ask you this: so you're using a cast net to cast net those mullet,
Correct. Yep.
and is there a specific area? You don't have to give me obviously any specific locations
No.
away,
So you're
but
gonna
as
find-
far as finding
yeah, so
mullet,
the mullet,
in-
you're mainly going to find those really right where you find them with the redfish. So against your oyster bars and beaches and stuff like that. I throw
Sandy
a
areas.
3/8 mesh, and like I said, they got all different meshes. for
yeah,
different
and those
sizes
3/8
of
is a little
bait.
bit bigger. Well,
Yeah.
you can get them up to quarter and 1 inch.
Yeah,
You can even get
yeah.
1 inch holes if you're
You
throwing.
get big stuff. And
Yeah.
that's what a real mullet.
My
net
Yeah.
mullet net's 2 inch.
Yeah, you really want a big opening. But
Inch
I'm
and a
throwing it
half,
so
I'm sorry.
shallow that, half the time I'm throwing in a 1.5 2 foot of water.
Right, so it doesn't matter.
Trying to corner them. And so, yeah, man, that's, like I said, if you're, it's going to be more of a tip, especially the next coming months when it gets real hot.
Yeah.
That's when it's really going to be effective.
Starting
But,
about late the end of this month.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm already dabbling into it. I caught 3 reds today. I'm pretty sure we would not have caught if I would, didn't have cut mullet.
Yeah, is there, and so this kind of leads me into this a little bit. Is there a specific way that you like to rig those cut mullet, or are you rigging them under a cork or
today
on a sinker?
Today I was doing a 1/2 ounce sinker with a 5/0 beak or like an octopus hook.
Right.
Because of the wind. Usually I do a 1/4 ounce sinker.
Right. Yeah, it was
with that.
blowing today.
And be honest with you, man, if it ain't really blowing, a jig head will work just
Yeah.
as good.
Yeah.
And that's
And,
what
and how big of a piece of mullet you like?
probably I'd say a inch wide maybe.
Okay.
Chunked or stripped?
Chunked.
Okay.
Yeah, chunked.
All right.
Yep. Especially on those. Depends on the mullet.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
it-
you get a big old hog leg mullet,
Yes.
you know,
Yep. Usually like 2 of those will get me through a trip.
And,
Right,
and if you
right.
plan on buying a cast net, buy a quality net.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
other thing too is, with today's age, you got YouTube. So if you don't know how to throw a cast net, there's a million videos on
Yeah.
YouTube that'll teach you how to throw a cast net.
I'm not giving a demonstration.
Yeah, I'd ask Brent to
No,
do
we're
a
banana
demonstration
boating over here, man.
in the parking lot, but
Banana boat.
he wouldn't do it. All right, so that's our tackle tip. A cast net is definitely a way to grab some bait, grab some mullet. Mullet are prevalent in our area, and it's a phenomenal bait, not only for redfish, but trout will eat them
yeah.
too. So
Snook too.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's something that you guys have a little bit more of down that
Yep.
way than we do. We catch them occasionally, but not as often as you guys do. All right, so that's our tackle tip for the month, Brent. We appreciate you talking about that.
Absolutely, man.
And so that's going to roll us into our Best Bets segment, sponsored by Keaton Beach Bums, located on 2051 Beach Road right here in Perry, Florida. Keaton Beach Bums is my go-to for fuel, ice, bait, food, drinks, gas, whatever you need. They've got it there, and it's
Dog food. That's
right.
where I buy my dog food.
Yeah, it's right next to the boat ramp
Smoked
here in
mullet
Keaton
dip.
Beach. Yeah, they got
Dude.
some great dips in there.
I
You,
love
you,
this
you know what
mullet
else? They have mullet for like $1 a fish.
Well,
So
there you go. You don't have to
throw
go
that
cast net. Yeah, you don't have to go get a cast net. Yeah, it's great, man. They've got everything
It's
in
cheaper
there.
the way you go through nets around here.
The ice house in the back has been clutch since they installed that. You can buy a bucket of ice, you can buy a basket of ice, and totally, if you're going offshore, you don't have to buy 5 bags of ice. You can go in there and fill up your offshore coolers.
And I've come to
easy.
learn, not to like interrupt you,
Yeah, go ahead.
that ice lasts longer.
Seems
Have y'all
like it.
noticed that?
Yeah, it does seem like that ice that's
I'm
made
like
from
like fish house ice.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
always
for
called it.
sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that lasts, a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
crazy, but
Real quick, Brent, I got a question just came in for us from Jason Johnson, and like I said, normally we tackle all these, but this is kind of relevant to what you were talking about. He says, "Is cut mullet better than cut pinfish for reds?" In your opinion,
I honestly, man, I think if you put them side by side, it really wouldn't matter. I will say at times it seems it's better than shrimp, especially if, like today, it was windy.
Right.
We tried to use shrimp, couldn't get anything to eat shrimp. I figured I'd throw it up on the bar and it would just put out a little more scent. I think it puts off a lot more scent than a shrimp does. But as far as a pinfish or a ladyfish for that matter, I don't think it matters.
I think
Yeah.
it depends on how you're fishing them also.
Yeah.
100%.
I got you.
If you're using cut pinfish tails and you're working them under a
Yeah.
popper.
Right.
And like I said, ladyfish is the best.
Yep.
Personally, I think it's got a little more blood to it. But only time you see me using that is when I catch one trout fishing before I go red fishing.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? That's not
Gotcha.
something you can really.
The only time you see me using that is if I'm targeting sharks.
Yeah, for
all
sure.
right. So, like I said, that's we're gonna roll into our best bets, and that is sponsored by Keaton Beach Bums. If you are in Keaton Beach, it's your one-stop shop for everything. So, Brent, we're gonna start our tackle or our best bets, since you kind of were talking about using mullet, and you don't have to get like super specific on like location or area, but like a general type of situation in which you would use that cut mullet
Throughout the next month.
for April. For April specifically, yeah.
So what I like to do with red fishing is obviously I think we all kind of do this. To start outside, work your way in, and my gut's telling me most likely you're going to find them outside, especially right now. That's where I found all my fish today, is more on the outside. In my
And
area.
when you say outside, what are you talking about?
Well, it can mean like in Cedar Key, as far the oyster bars that stick out the furthest, or the islands.
So
or,
in other words, like
Structure wise.
yeah.
so
like y'all, it's weird to explain because y'all's bars don't really. Well, y'all do
Yeah,
when
we
you
do.
get down
Yeah.
there. Yeah, they come out, but
Distance from the shoreline.
from the
Yeah,
grass. So like
exactly,
we fish from the grass line out basically, unless it's like wintertime, right, where you're getting
Right.
up in those creeks. But when you say outside, you're talking about like some of the outer structure.
correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And that's all it is. Just those bigger girls are moving in right now, and so yeah, just casting it up there. Pretty much when you look at an oyster bar, you can see where it goes from oyster to clusters to that white sand. Then you'll either have grass or it'll just turn into that
Mud,
silt
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
What's white sand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you're putting that mullet just right on that where it's still kind of clustered. That white sand part is usually where I tell my clients aim for that white beachy part, and that's pretty much history.
And they'll come off that scent draws them off the bar too. So if they're up on the bar, you
Yeah.
know, it'll kind of pull them off, and they'll usually find it. So all right, so that's good. Kenny,
Easy way to fish, man.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Until the catfish show up.
All right, Kenny.
My best bet is to follow Evan and Jay. No. Anyways,
That's kicking up the rooster tail.
yeah. So if we're gonna talk redfish for the next month, gold spoons.
Well, it doesn't have to be redfish.
Or yeah, I'm gonna break it down to redfish and trout.
Okay.
Since that's the primary species in this area. So redfish is top water and spoons. It's going to be number one and two. I'll be throwing top water till my arm falls off and my shoulder blades just give out, and then I'll switch to spoons.
Yeah.
If I have kids that maybe aren't as skillful, I mean anyone can use a spoon, but I'll throw some shrimp or pinfish. And then trout, it's going to be soft plastics and jerk shads. If these temps cool back off, I'll be rigging them on a twist lock hook and, weedless. Today, I was out in deeper water, throwing them under 1/8 ounce jig head, which would kind of be primary thing for the next month, and transition later in the month maybe to some more live bait.
I gotcha. Yeah. So, and then for my best bets, you kind of stole mine a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to expand on it a little bit. So April is when after I stop throwing top water, I switch over to Gold Spoon.
You stop throwing top water?
Well, I mean, sometimes. In the day, once I start, once I stop getting bites on top water. Yeah, if they bite it all day long, I'm gonna throw it all day long. But I love to just pound some shorelines with a Gold Spoon. In and around the high tides, focus on points, hard bottom, oyster creek mouths, things like that.
Patchy bottom.
If
there's not any structure, if you're in an area with no structure, patchy bottom.
Yeah. So just covering some water with an oyster with that Gold Spoon, and you can't help but pick up a few redfish doing that. If you can't cover some water and pick up a few redfish on that Gold Spoon, then you might need to they ain't there. Yeah, they ain't there.
Or we have a front that just has them.
That could be it too. Yeah. Obviously, if you got the day after a front like we will on Saturday we got a north wind coming, and you got those post frontal conditions. But the day after, or any time between those fronts, and then as we get it later in April, we should stop getting some fronts, and we should start to dry out a little bit. I hope. But yeah, that Gold Spoon. And then I do like to. So Aqua Dream is the main spoon that I use.
Same.
And I gold is the go-to, but sometimes if I get in that dark water, I'll switch it up. I like to throw the pinfish pattern or the pilchard pattern, or even the pink one in the dark water. Yeah, the chartreuse.
Chartreuse did it for me the other day.
Yeah.
Blue crab's been working pretty good too.
Yeah, see, I haven't thrown that blue crab. I have the blue crab one. I haven't thrown it a lot. I just don't have a lot of confidence in it. But I have a lot of confidence.
I'm that way with the pink one. I don't have
confidence in the pink one.
Kenny's always trying to get me to throw it, but I just found.
To be honest, I don't even use the gold as much as I do that
same.
copper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those Aqua Dream spoons in the month of April through May, man, they are going to be absolutely money. So, if you get a chance to throw those, definitely do that. All right, so that is our best bet, sponsored by Keaton Beach Bums. Again, that is located on 2051 Beach Road here in Keaton Beach, Florida. So make sure you stop in there and get everything you need for a day on the water. All right, so we are going to get to some questions here in just a little bit. We've got some good questions coming in, so just keep those coming. We will get through all of the ones that we haven't already answered here in just a little bit. And then we will, we're going to answer those here in just a bit. So make sure you keep those coming in. Last segment is our hot topic segment, and Kenny, you had said that you had a little topic that you want to talk about, so I'll let you introduce our hot topic segment.
Yeah, in the last few weeks, I've had some people on the boat that their first time booking a trip, and all of them had said they really didn't know how to choose a guide, and it just made me think about, well, one guy, he said, well, he booked me, and then he booked another person in a different location just because he didn't know, so he wanted to book two. And it kind of, and then it wasn't just him. Like I said, it was a handful of people. And, I told all of them, I said, social media, you can look on social media and see some pictures, and some pictures can be deceiving. Some people will reuse the same picture over and over. But one thing I told them is, pick up the phone and call them, talk to them, and ask them who they would recommend. You ask me who I recommend, I don't mind telling you. I'm going to recommend, if it's in our area, Evan, you, Pat.
Yeah.
And then I told them, one thing you got to look for, like if I'm booking a charter, I look at the price, not for the cheapest. Typically your cheap charters, there's a reason they're cheap. When you look at the price for charter, our area is very, very reasonable.
Right.
But you can't just look at, how much it's costing that guy for that day. Well, what about the days off that I'm out there burning fuel, burning tackle, so that I can stay on fish? I'm fishing fish. I'm not just going out there fishing spots.
Yeah, you want to go on a boat ride, or do you want to catch some fish? Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not saying that there's not part-time guys that are good, because you do this part-time,
right,
and you put quality fish in the boat.
Right.
But you're out there.
I'm out there a lot.
Yeah, he puts his time in.
A lot.
And that's what it boils down to, the people that haven't put their time in as well.
But I can tell you right now, I'm not going to, if I'm going somewhere, and I go places and I book charters just so that I can learn more stuff. I'm not going to go for the cheapest. Like I said, there's a reason why they're that cheap, and typically they're looking for a tax break, to use it as a tax exemption to cover their boat, their tackle, and it's.
Yeah, the best thing that you can do is call up somebody, have a conversation with them, and then you'll get a feel for what it is that they're doing. And if there's something that you're specifically looking for, whether it's, like fly fishing or whether it's, soaking mullet on the boat, or whether it's meat fishing, or, there's going to be somebody who offers that particular service for that area. So, it just depends on what you want to do. And then also,
I do mullet charters, by the way.
Are we snatching mullet? No. So yeah, you just do your due diligence. Call them up. Talk to them. You can always book through somebody's website, but then you never know what you're getting when you do that.
Ask locals.
Ask locals. The best thing that you can
shops.
do is have a conversation with somebody before you go fishing.
I agree, and it's amazing seeing how many people they want to get their license just to. And a lot of it, especially scallop season, man, we get a bunch of people that just run scallop charters, and they're going out there and they're looking for the crowd of boats, and you take us, and we work together in this area pretty good. We discuss what's going on, and especially scallop season,
right?
We'll work together, and we're not just out there trying to take someone's money,
right? Yep. So let me let's we got some good questions. I'm just looking at the questions here. We got some good questions starting to come in. We got actually quite a few questions to go through. When you're looking for a guide, or if you're new to the area, and that's just not for our area.
No,
too,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere you go. And also, every area is going to have a different. There's going to be a medium price point. Keaton Beach is not a world-renowned fishery, so and then obviously Cedar Key and Horseshoe Beach.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, but we're going to be overall cheaper than some other areas
and
that you go to.
Like, dude, I just did a charter in Louisiana.
Right.
And it was like $900.
Yeah, $700 to $900.
Same in
Tampa. Yeah, exactly.
Tampa's the same way.
Yeah, you go to the Keys, it's $700 to $900.
And as far as what's
for a half day.
You go to the Everglades, it's the same way. So when you look at and honestly, I would put our fishery up against any other fishery in the state of Florida.
The day I had in Louisiana, I've done 100 times here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was blowing like 30 or 40.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's doable here.
You know, I know this is getting long here, but one thing to keep in mind is we are on the water a lot. We don't always have phone signal. You leave us a message. If you text us, you know, it might be the best way to have some patience. We'll get back to you.
Right. And then also, you know, Kyle Skipper has a good comment here in the comment section. He says, don't call when a good guide should be fishing too.
Right.
So, you know,
or call and leave a voicemail or send them a text and give them a chance.
Right. Exactly.
You know, we get it's funny. You know, me and Evan, because we're both full-time guys, and typically our days off are about the same, and we spend that time together sometimes fishing, and we'll be riding down the road. My phone will ring, someone wanting to book a trip, and they're price shopping. And I hang up. I say, "Hey, Evan, your phone's about to ring." His phone rings. It's the same person.
Yeah.
You know, that happens all the time, and it's funny.
All right, so let's get to some questions here in just a second. Before we get to our questions, I want to just go back over our sponsor and talk a little bit about what they have to offer. So, like I said, guys, if you got some questions, we're about to get to these. If there's a question that we haven't got to, I promise we're going to answer it. If you have a new question that's not already up, or if you have something that you want to talk about, please post it up there. We're going to get to those. We're going to spend as much time as many questions as you guys answer is how many we want, or as many questions as you guys ask is how many we will answer. So we're not
keep them coming.
We're not going to leave anybody out. So please ask those questions.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah, and we'll get to those in just a second. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals again. So, again, they've got 5 different rentals here in Keaton Beach. They've got the boathouse, which is kind of cool because it's like a little, how would you describe the boathouse, Kenny? They got a cool back patio that's got a fireplace and a grill and a local hangout area.
Yep.
If you got a big group
community hangout
it's a community hangout. If you got a big group, you can get several people in there. If you got a bunch of buddies that want to come and go fishing and you all hang out together, it's a great place for that. But it's got 3 single, 1 bed, 1 bath that can be a 3. It's perfect for large trips, large families, or group fishing trips.
Or just individual.
Right, or individual. Yeah, if you go just you and a buddy want to come down and you want to rent one of those, it's perfect for that too. They got Fish Skills, which is a 3-3. It sleeps 7 to 10. It's got an efficiency underneath that sleeps 2 to 4.
We stayed there a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago.
Margaritaville is a 3-2. It sleeps 4 to 8. It's a 1-1, and then underneath it's got a 1-1 efficiency that again sleeps 2 to 4. So you can put a big group there. Little. I got to make sure I say this right. Little Orr House. Little Orr House. That sleeps. It's a 1-1. It sleeps 2 to 4, and then the SS Keaton, which is a 3-2, and it sleeps 4 to 8. All of these places have ice machines. They all have wet slips. So if you bring your boat, you got a place in the water to keep your boat. All have fish cleaning stations. And then also, real quick before we move on, I want to mention where we're filming tonight is Keaton Beach, the trading post, which they've got a ton of stuff in here. You can see the background. They've got shirts, flip-flops, anything that you forget on your vacation if you come here.
Sunglasses.
Sunscreen, sunglasses.
It's a good sunscreen.
Sunbalm.
All kinds of barbecue sauces, seasonings, anything that you maybe have forgotten, flip-flops. You can come in here and grab it on the weekends. Right now they're open on the weekends on Saturday and Sunday. But as we get closer to summer, they're going to have some longer hours. And also, I'm going to make sure that, our area is famous for scallop season. And so if you are planning on being down here for scallop season, she does have still a few dates available in June and August for coming down here and going scalloping. So if you want to do that, you better get in there quick.
Oh yeah,
What's
go
the
to
opening
and
day?
book us quick because
When are they opening
I'm booking some
scallop
trips.
season
It's
this year?
crazy.
Too early, in my opinion.
Yeah.
June 15th is the first day of
15th?
scallop season. Yeah,
16th.
June. Is it 16th?
16th.
16th. Okay. So there you go. So yeah, you want to make sure you get in on that. They're phenomenal places. Stephanie and George do a great job running these.
Yeah, let me tell you, if you know me, you know that we travel a lot, my family, and we stay in a lot of places. And we stayed in 2 of their houses this past month, and they're top notch. They're the best we've stayed at.
Yeah.
Well, side note to the scallop season too. I just thought about this. If you're wanting to get out and fish with either one of these two, not necessarily me because the scalloping thing's not that big of a deal, but get out and get it done before scallop season hits. You know what I mean? If you're trying to book a fishing trip,
If you want to catch quality fish,
For
quality
sure.
fish,
Yeah,
for
100%,
sure,
yep.
just go ahead and get it out the way before the scallop season. Not saying nobody can't catch fish during scallop season, but
Yeah.
y'all know
we
what I
catch
mean.
fish for
Yeah.
sure.
just got to go to some different spots.
Yeah.
And don't expect to get a boatload.
Yeah. So again, that is Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals. You can go to KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com. You can call Stephanie Weldon at 772-284-0124. Or you can email at Stephanie@KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com. All of those ways to book your place here. And then while you're here, you can hire one of the local Keaton Beach guides. So check that out. All right. Questions. Let's get to some questions. So we got quite a few, and I'm sure we're gonna get some more. So you guys get those questions coming. We are gonna talk about everything from water clarity to mullet fishing or soaking some cut mullet on the bait. I've seen some as they've been coming in. First thing we're going to talk about is, or first person we're going to get to is Dante Wimbush. I believe you fished him before.
Yes.
He says, "How's it going, Mr. Kenny? Y'all been killing them reds."
Killing them.
Yeah, it's been good, and we're getting some big
great.
fish too. April's phenomenal
Yeah.
for big fish. We get
for
some
sure.
of our biggest fish starting now through June. Pretty
We've
much.
caught quite
Yeah.
a few mid to upper 30s. We got some 40s pushing in, and
Yep. I saw one the other day that swam under the boat that had to be 45 inches. It was
we did
monster.
too. And then I hooked one yesterday, got broke off, and then my client, the kid, he hooked it right behind. I told him cast right where it broke off, and he hooked up on it and lost it.
Yeah. So there's some big fish around. We can show you where those are. But we're not going to tell you where they are. But if you book us, we'll show you where they are. All right. So Jason Johnson says, "Hey guys, love you from Cherry Lake." Jason, appreciate you tuning in tonight. Tim Knight, weather is awesome if you don't work during the week. Yeah,
It's not
pretty
good
much,
during the week right now either.
Yeah, it's actually not been good during the weekend. The weekends
Been perfect.
it's flipped around. It was like the weekends were terrible and it was nice during the week, and now it's the reverse of that. So. Pamela Worth, my days are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay. Billy Roberts says, what water clarity? Billy, it depends on where you're fishing, man. There is some
I could
clean
see the
water out there.
I could see the bottom in 5 feet deep.
Yeah,
this morning blowing 20.
Yeah, there is some clean water out there. I don't know how it's going to depends on how much rain we get tonight and tomorrow.
All depends on how close you are to a river too.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
too. Yep. We already answered John Minix. What is a prop bait, John? We talked about that a little bit. Wade Alley says,
as the rain pushed the trout.
"Oh yeah,
out.
good. Sorry, thank you, Kenny. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the rain
I would say so in certain locations,
in certain areas.
certain
Yeah,
areas.
yeah.
Some of the fish that I've been catching were definitely pushed way out, substantially far out. And I can't help but think that's due to fresh water because you get up in there where they were at, and you're seeing gar swimming everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and you get out to where there's a higher salinity content, and they're stacked.
Yeah. And are you finding mostly slot fish out there in that deeper water though?
Yes.
Yeah, mostly slot fish.
Yeah.
Still-
Slot and upper slot. It's
Right.
it's the same fish that I was catching in 2.5 feet. They're
Right.
pushed out to 6.
Right.
You know that's
And that
what I
could
was saying
change.
about I'm typically fishing fish, not
Right.
spots.
Yeah. And that could change. You know, we get some water temp. We got a front coming through. It's supposed to be I think 42 Sunday morning or something like that. So
45 in my area.
So I mean, we're gonna have a pretty good temperature drop, and like you, what would you say, Brent? It was 76 today.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
it was.
it's,
It got up 76.
I imagine
here,
it'll
or
be down
75
in the
here.
mid to low 60s by Sunday, somewhere in that range. So that can move the trout, that can move the fish around.
Between the cold and the rain, the fresh
right,
water.
Right. Yep. So so that was Pamela Worth. Pamela Worth. She asked how has the rain pushed the trout out, and then
And something to think about. It's not just the rain that is falling on the salt water.
No, it's the water
rain.
coming from inshore.
Yes,
It's the
yes.
rivers and the
Out the
creeks.
creeks,
Yeah,
yep.
that has way more of an effect on our water clarity
Right.
than
In
the
the
actual
rain. Oh, yeah,
that comes
yeah,
from
for
the.
sure.
If it was just the rain that came from the sky, it wouldn't change.
We
the water
may
at
we
all.
may have some siltiness due to the high winds.
Right. And the more the areas where there's less grass, the more silty it's going to be. The areas
Right.
that have more grass, the water's going to clean up quicker there.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind as well too. Wade Alley says a devil horse is a prop bait. That's a classic, man. That's the one that all the old timers say was.
Old wooden ones.
Yep, the wooden devil horse is the big trout prop bait. So,
Yep.
all right, here you go. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yep. We answered that one.
We answered that one. So is cut mullet better than cut pinfish? And Brent, you said that it was about the same. Travis Andrews, I just look for Jay Carson or Evan and pull on it and start catching. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is a question from Kyle Skipper. Kyle, I appreciate you tuning in, man. Kyle's one of our local guys out of Steenhatchee. But Brent, he has a question for you, Brent. How long will you stay at a redfish spot in your area before you move on if no bites? I guess he's specifically talking about maybe fishing with cut mullet.
With the mullet, I will. Today I was probably doing almost 10 minutes an out.
Yeah, so you're bouncing.
I was
around pretty
limited,
good.
though.
Yeah,
I know
Today
that
I was limited.
I know
to
that's
what I could
directed at
fish.
Brent, but I'd like to answer
yeah. Go ahead.
on that also. A lot of that depends on if you know when those fish are moving in at the tide.
If you're waiting on them,
Like we talked about earlier, they'll stack up in certain locations
Right.
at certain tides. So, sometimes I'll get there an hour early. If we're just targeting reds, I'm going to tell these people, hey, we're going to get there. We're going to get that spot. We're going to squat on it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they'll be there. They're coming. I'll do the same thing when I'm sight fishing. So what I try to do when I'm sight fishing is I try to get inside of where I know those fish are at
Yep.
and wait on them to come in.
Yep.
And so I will specifically run way shallower than I need to be because I know those fish are going to come in, and then I look for them, as that tide comes in to
Right.
to move in. And then same thing on the outgoing. I'll get outside of where I think those fish are at, and then I'll wait for them to come to me
Yep.
on
Yep.
that outgoing.
And you get a steady flow.
Right. Yep. And then usually on the slack tide, they'll hang out in their location of wherever they're at, so you can kind of fish them through that slack if you know what depth they're going to be in. Billy Roberts. So again, a question for you, Brent. Do you ever use a popping cork with cut mullet?
No,
So that's always on the bottom.
100%.
Yeah.
Always.
And is there a reason for that?
No.
No.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean,
Have you tried it?
bottom
Have you
feeders-
tried it on a
I do use
popping
it.
cork?
I know he has.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I've heard
Okay.
him talk about it, but at that point, I'll just do shrimp. But I've never.
Well, sometimes what I'll do is I'll put it on a cork and let it drift along.
Yeah.
Say I'm fishing a structure, oyster bar, or shoreline, or sometimes I'll cast it and the way the current or the wind's going, I'll just let it drift through there.
Sure. Yeah. Does that mullet hold up under a popping cork? In other words, when you're popping it, does that mullet kind of fall apart after so often? I know it's kind of a little bit softer.
Yeah.
Depends on the mullet.
Yeah.
It depends
If
on
it's fresh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll hold pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
And hook it through the skin.
Yeah, that belly meat, it ain't going nowhere.
Right. Same with kind of ladyfish too. Is the same thing. Asa Martin says I still owe him a half day. That's expired, Asa. You should have taken that up before it expired because that expired about a year ago. Jason Johnson again with another good question. How do you decide what weight jig heads to use?
Well, depends on what I'm
Who's
doing.
up? Come on,
It depends
somebody.
on what I'm doing, really.
Okay,
What
so
time of
let's
the
just
year?
say.
It depends on the depth.
All right, let's tackle the two situations that you would use a jig head. So you're going to use a jig head when you're fishing just a soft plastic, or shrimp
Right.
on the bottom, or underneath the popping cork.
So when I use them as fishing shrimp or cut bait on the bottom, let's say I'm in a creek and it'll depend on current flow, really.
Right? Yeah.
You want to
100%.
hold that bait where you want it.
So what's the max jig head weight you're going to use?
Well, I see. For me, if a 1/4 ounce is not holding it, the jig head's out of the question.
Yeah, you're going to switch over to
I'm going to
a
the
sinker. Yeah,
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And so usually I start with that. You know what I mean? And don't even worry about the jig heads. Plus, you can get a lot more meat on. A jig head. If you're looking to save mullet, jig head's definitely the way to go. But you can get a bigger chunk of meat on that 5 or 6 beak hook, or like I said, octopus as well.
Yeah.
But you got
it depends
to
on
be
the
patient too, not just rip it out of the mouth.
100%. Patience is key.
Yeah. What about under popping cork? Again, depends on the depth you're fishing. So if you're fishing
for redfish or
2
trout?
feet, well, either one. So 2 feet under a popping cork. What size jig head are you using?
1/4 ounce mainly.
I use 1/8.
He's 8.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the only one. He's the only reason I bought 1/8 ounce.
What
Well,
about
sometimes I'll use 16.
what
but
about
not
if
on
you're
the
in
popping
5
cork.
feet of water?
I still use 1/8.
Do you?
Yeah, if it get much past 6, and I'll go to a 1/4.
See, I've always
or
used
3/16 is mainly what I'll.
Yeah. What about if you're okay? So what about popping cork, jig head, shrimp?
1/8. Sometimes I'll.
Yeah, I typically don't use a jig head when I'm using shrimp on
You
the
use a
popping
split
cork.
shot?
I use an owner K hook.
Okay, but do you put a split shot on it?
Nope.
You just free line it
Yep.
underneath the popping cork, no matter how depth.
Yep.
6 feet of water, you're free lining that
Free
shrimp.
line it.
Okay. All right, so that's some good stuff right there. Travis Andrews. This is when we were talking about guides. I stay away from the cheapest. Yes, that's a good plan. Tyler
Who said
Ogburn. Travis Andrews. Yeah,
He
yeah,
knows.
your buddy.
He knows.
Your buddy Travis. Brent, I guess you know Tyler Ogburn. He says you're his guy.
Oh yeah, he fishes with me like 20 times a year.
Oh, there you go.
Or he used to, Tyler. You cheating on me, dude?
Again, Travis says I look for comfort. I look at the boat, and if it's got room for my group. There you go. Yeah, and also depending on what you want to do, and you look at the boat style for what you want to do. If you're comfort ride, or if you're trying to fly fish, obviously some boats are better for stuff than others. Jim Rudd says, being new to Keaton Beach area, but not new to fishing, what's the best way to navigate around all the good rocks to get the good fishing locations? Kenny, I know what your answer's going to be.
Nope. That's not what it's going to be.
Oh, you don't think so? What?
No, what it's going to be is if you're within 1.5 miles to 2 miles from the shoreline and you don't know that area, idle in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say hire a guide. I was going to say hire a local guide, but
Jim's a friend of mine.
Okay.
He's a good guy.
yeah.
But but there again, I mean, I literally hit 12 rocks day before yesterday. I don't even remember what day it is anymore.
You'd think you'd know your water, Skinny.
Man, I have got
Even then.
this is no joke. This is no joke. In this little area that I've been fishing, I have marked 103 rocks.
Yeah, no, there's
I am running Florida Marine Tracks, and there's a lot of rocks marked there. That's 103, not included what's on there.
Colby
and I'm hitting more.
Colby needs to pay you for that information.
Oh, 100%.
No,
Don't rely on that either.
yeah.
no.
That's the
No,
biggest
not-
problem
not
I
in
see a
our
lot
area.
of guys doing is they
Yeah.
get the FMT and they literally rely on that to learn an area, man. It's the worst
Well, it's the worst thing you can do because
The
you
worst
feel
thing.
confident in your track, and then
Yep.
all of a sudden, you don't know what tide that track is good on, and then bam.
Yep.
I
There goes your
busted
lower
a lower unit in 4 feet of water. What, a couple months ago?
Yeah.
4 feet of water.
Yeah, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And my boat runs
Yeah.
skinny.
All right, so there you go. Yeah, that's a really good plan. No matter what coastline you're fishing at,
Yep.
is to always stay in that 4 to 5 foot depth of range, and then idle in from there. If you do not know the hazards, if you're 1 mile, 2 miles out, depending on the tide, stay in that 4 to 5 foot range, and then just kind of
Just drift in.
Yeah,
or
idle.
drift it, fish your way in.
Yeah.
You'll learn so much
Yeah,
more if
for
you do
sure.
it like that, too. Just
For
drift
sure.
in and fish.
And then obviously there's some areas of our coastline that are way more dangerous than others.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and knowing that information helps a bunch too.
And like you said, I mean, I know this area like the back of my hand, and I'm still finding new stuff every day.
Yeah.
Go look at my boat. I get it repainted every year.
So there you go. Yeah, that's whenever I tell anybody or I take anybody that's trying to fish some new spots, I always tell them stay out stay in that 4 to 6 foot range, and then idle in from there. All right, we're going to have to move quick because my battery is about to go dead on my computer. Are there any local guides that... no, there are not any local guides that look like April Vokey. I'm sorry. Let's keep going here. Jay Fishburne says there's the NFGFC April tournament. Yes. Could you guys talk about targeting gator trout and big reds? Wondering what kind of bottom and depth of bait to use for those.
I think we talked about that a little bit, but right now it's
Shallow.
Shallow.
Just go shallow.
3 feet and less. Depending on where you're fishing, I mean, if you're fishing oyster bars, they're going to be around them. If you have structured rocks, if there's none of that in the area you're fishing, patchy bottom.
Sunday, we caught one that was, I didn't even measure it. Probably 25, 24. And I promise you, she was in that much water on a topwater plug. I mean, she was shallow. Not saying you can't catch them in, 3 foot of water, but.
Yeah, and I mean, as it gets later in the month.
You catch bigger trout deeper than what I do, it seems like.
Well, I was going to say right now we're not.
Yeah.
Right now they're shallow. But as we get later in the month, those fish are going to start pushing out.
No, nothing.
There's absolutely nothing.
No, because
the camera, you unplugged the camera.
The camera is what it is.
We're still alive, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find
Is the camera on? Just turn the camera on.
TD, guys.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh,
I seen a flash.
yeah, I did too. Error, press shutter, release button again. Pull it.
It blinks now, it's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Just blinking and saying that same thing now. You're doing something.
Guys, we're still on here. I know you
Making
can.
it come on and
They're
off.
saying they can hear us. They just can't see us. So, anyways, let's continue what you were saying.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm finding if you're targeting gator trout, like Kenny said, 3 foot, and I'd even say 2 foot or less.
Well, I was saying 3 because depending on the tide.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's a high tide or a flood tide, we're 3. You might be 3 feet on the shoreline.
And still, right now, catching your reds. I mean, in trout, you can catch those big gator trout and your reds in the same
areas.
100%.
So let's see. All right, I got to go to a different screen to see more questions. Let me move to it. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
If you were catching a lot of short trout, would the bigger fish be in shallower or out deeper than the short fish? Or what is the best move to make?
That's a weird one.
Yeah, it all depends.
Right there with them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've had it go from catching 100 of those small ones, and all of a sudden you get into the keepers.
Yeah, I mean, he may find some shallower, he may find some deeper. I mean, they could all be mixed in. That's a tough one. You're just gonna have to.
For me, they're mixed right now. I can tell you that for sure.
They're not so much here. I mean, I haven't really caught any short trout, to be honest with you, in a while. Because, like I said, I'm fishing fish right now, but it is coming. It is coming. All right, we got it back.
Okay. How are we back?
So
All
we were
right.
just, if you want to touch on that
Okay,
one,
yeah.
the Anthony Glass, he was asking about catching short trout, and that's a tough one to answer because sometimes deeper's the answer, sometimes shallower's the answer. You just gotta make your moves.
Yeah. I'm Let me just read this question. It says, bigger fish will surprise you. They will push
it's the
shallow.
one
One before that. If you are catching a lot of short trout, would the bigger fish be in shallow or out deeper than the short fish?
It depends.
It depends. You can move, 2, 3, half a mile and stay in the same depth.
Yep.
Be catching shorts, and then move half a mile in the same depth, and then be catching.
Sometimes you just
keepers.
move a couple
what
hundred
do you call
yards.
big?
Yeah.
Are you talking about gators or are you talking about keepers?
Yeah, and then also too, those fish, until they get really big, they hang in like schools,
Yep.
groups, and then they kind of spread out through an area if they're in grass. If they're out on the grass, they kind of spread out in an area,
Right.
and you can make several drifts through that area and catch multiple fish.
And that's what we're going to be seeing throughout this month.
Right. So as we transition through, that's what we'll be seeing. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. My computer was about to go dead. I had to get to the charger on it. The plug that I was in wasn't working, but we got it straightened out. We're back up and running.
Randy.
Replying to Anthony Glass. Somebody, Matt Lanier had a response there.
What was the response?
His response was, bigger fish will surprise you. They will push shallower more often than deeper. That's very true.
Very true.
Yep.
That's because they are less concerned about dolphins or other predators to them. The smaller trout hang in numbers in deeper areas together, often because it's easier to evade in
Absolutely.
that situation from the small
Good
fish.
answer. Good
That is a
reply.
good answer. Let's hear more about sight fishing. Are you up on the stand? How deep do you do it, and what are you throwing at them? So as far as sight fishing goes, in our area, it's real tide dependent.
Yes.
Typically you want to stay away from high tides, specifically for our areas. It's a little different for every area that you're fishing in, but for specifically from our area, and I'll say is Keaton Beach, Tehachapi area, and Pepper, down towards where Brent's at. I like a low tide, and not all low tides are created equal. Some are much lower than others. And then I'm up on the pole. I have somebody up on the platform up front. I have a casting deck in my poling skiff, and then we're just kind of mostly I fish over grass. Sometimes I'm fishing over bars and structure, but mostly over grass. And it just that's kind of the routine for that.
As far as baits,
soft plastic. So mostly, if I'm spin fishing, it's paddle tails or a jerk shad rigged weedless on a 1/8 ounce owner twist lock hook. And then if I'm fly fishing, I like to use not heavy flies because mostly I'm fishing over grass. So I like flies with bead chain eyes, and then most of the patterns that I like are going to be bait fish or schminnow patterns. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. So I hope that answers your question, Tim. That question's from Tim Moody. Jay Fishburne says, Kenny, are those rocks north or south of Keaton?
Actually, they're
Both.
both. And you know what? I do want to say something here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Me, Evan, and George, one of the owners of Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals, we were fishing an area that we fish a lot. And we were easing through there and came across a big log, like that would destroy your lower unit. And this is an area that we run all the time. So that's something to think about. I mean, just because you know it. I mean, the rocks that I hit, the two rocks that I hit that destroyed my lower unit is areas that I've ran hundreds of times.
Bunch of times.
Yeah,
But
stuff shows up. Rogue traps.
Yep.
I mean, it shows up out there. Anchors.
Yeah, we were sight fishing an area, and it was crazy how many derelict traps that we seen sticking up out of the water that in areas that we've ran, man, a bunch.
And if they're out there for like a year or two, man, you're talking, that's like hitting a rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they get all those oysters growing on, they don't give.
Yeah,
they don't give away. They don't give away. Miles Carter, I've fished out of St. Mark's for 30 years now, and I can tell you the fishing ain't what it used to be. Tallahassee and Wakulla County populations have grown so much in the last 3 decades. Easy financing for up to 12 years on flats boats have put a lot of folks on the water that years ago would not be able to afford it. Also, Facebook reporting about cash. In short, folks, too many people fishing means too many fish being taken home. It is what it is, and I'm glad I got to fish in the 80s. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. There is, yes, there is a lot more people on the water, especially through COVID.
Yeah, there
is,
but let me tell you what, when you're at the ramp and you see these people coming back and they're talking about, I didn't catch anything, and I'm freaking whacking them. I don't think it's
95% of them don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll be fishing, and I'll just give an example right here. I had some people that booked me. They had their own boat. They have a place in the area. They lived here. They've been fishing here for 20 years. Went out and we slayed them. We caught more fish than they've ever caught.
Right.
The next day, go out there and they're right next to me in my drift, or in the same drift pattern as me. And literally the next day, we got back to the dock, and I had a limit of trout, a limit of redfish, and we threw back 10 limits.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
Yeah.
And they had 1 redfish and 2 trout.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely helps if you know what you're doing, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I get frustrated at the added boat traffic sometimes, just because of the lack of etiquette, and a lot of it's just ignorance. People just don't know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that it's killing our fishery.
No, our fishery's phenomenal. Like we were talking earlier, I think it's one of the best fisheries in the state. But that being said, it will be that, and obviously, if it ever gets to be as crowded up here, which I don't think it will be. One of the things that's nice about our area, so we have so much management land and state-owned property that it will keep it from being developed.
Yep.
So
that's the same thing with horseshoe. Like, it can't get it can't grow any bigger.
Right.
You know what I mean? It can go up, but
it can't go out.
It can't go out.
Yeah. So obviously we have a phenomenal fishery, but I think it'll stay. At least for the short term, I think it'll stay.
It's a phenomenal fishery, but if you're not
out
there,
fishery for sure.
If you're not out there a lot, it can be very.
It can be tough. It can be tough for sure.
Because our coastline is like Evan says, 2-dimensional.
Yeah.
You get down there around where Brent's at, and you got some islands and some passes, and here you got to follow those fish.
100%. Yep.
And I take it from me where I've had to help Kenny out in the past, and he's like, "Dude, I'm killing it," and I'll come up here and be like, "I can't catch a fish," just like he was just saying. I'm a guide, and I'll be right, and we'll eventually get on it, and I'll get it all put together. But there's so many little things, man, that have to come together.
Yep. This is a good question from Pamela Worth. She says, "How do we reach the three of you?" Brent, you want to real quick go over how they can reach you if somebody wants to?
You can get at me on most easiest way is definitely by telephone.
What's your phone number?
352-284-5514. Then you can book me online. You can book me on the website. That's realnativefishing.com. Or just get at me on Facebook. That's about the most 3 common ways I'm getting booked.
Yeah. Kenny?
Same thing, phone 850-838-6101. My website is realepicharters.com, and Facebook is a good way. You can book me online. I like for people to call me so that we can discuss, what you're looking for, what you're wanting to target, if you want to use artificial or you wanting live bait, just to discuss details. You don't have to, but it helps.
100%.
And I am Plug and Fly Charters on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to reach out, it's 850-371-1022. And one thing that I specialize in our area, which there's not very many people that do, is fly fishing and sight fishing. So if that's something that you're interested in, we can make that happen. I'm not sure what Ace is talking about. He says Kenny broke it. All right, so
the camera.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So here we go. That was our little technical difficulties. Lewis Clendenin. First time watching. What afternoons are you on? We're not actually on every afternoon. So Lewis, we are first Tuesday of every month is kind of what we shoot for. This is a monthly fishing report. But if you go follow Big Ben Fishing Report on on Facebook, and then make sure you subscribe to the notifications. You'll get a notification every time that we do the show.
We've been talking about doing some, middle of the month.
Yeah, we probably need to do something. Twice monthly would be good. Ben Childer says live bait still working well. Not too many trash fish yet. So in other words, have the catfish, puffers, and pinfish showed up?
I'm going
too
to be
bad
honest.
yet.
I really haven't used live bait in a while. I used it some the last couple of days when things got tough during that.
Past 2 days ago.
During the fronts, but I typically when I start using live bait is when the trash fish start showing up because it gets tough when the water temps start climbing and but I'm primarily artificial.
Yeah.
No, they're not. I caught one catfish today. They're not fully in, but it's
the puffer fish are here. Let me tell you.
any day.
Here's what's crazy. So last time I was out was Sunday. Well, all day Sunday, and I saw 2 schools of catfish.
Yep.
So the have those little hardhead schools school up. So those catfish are in there. They're just not really eating anything, which is wild because you can just for fun throwing something in those schools of catfish and they won't eat anything in there. It's wild. But once they split up,
that's what.
Then it's gonna be.
That's all. It's.
But the puffer,
on.
just so you know, the puffers are here.
Are we talking rabbit fish or are we
rabbit fish?
Yeah,
they're here.
Oh, dadgummit. Yeah. Hopefully they won't be as bad this year as they were a couple years ago.
Y'all catch any Spanish mackerel?
Yes. Well, I haven't caught any, but I've seen some. You've caught some, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got broken.
I know Evans
4 times today.
Evans caught some.
Bluefish. Bluefish are in. Yep. Speaking of that, the bait fish are moving in. Unlike last year where we really didn't get a good early push of schools of bait. They're here.
Yeah, and with those schools of bait mean that there are other fish that are starting to show up.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Jason Bell, Kenny, if you got some cancellations on a weekend, let me and Ralph know. We'd have a blast.
Definitely. We'll make it happen.
Let's see. We got a bunch of questions here, so I'm trying to get to some of the good ones.
Which one, Dante? Yeah, talking about people stealing spots.
Oh yeah. It
happens all the time.
There's lots of spot stealers.
Yeah,
spot stealers.
That's all right. I'll move on. I'll catch other fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or I'll just wait for them to give up because they're not catching them, and I'll pull in behind them. I got you.
Brent H. Chamber says 15-foot John boat with a 25 tiller. Folks say I'm crazy to try to fish down there. Is that true? No. You can, as long as you're launching from a spot that you don't have to make a big long run, you'll be fine. I don't know what this comment is. Miles Carter says, I guess I just don't know how to fish like you pros do. Give us a call, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us a call. You can go see. Pamela Worth, can you post contact info somewhere? We just talked about our contact info, but if you go to Big Ben Fishing Reports, you follow it. I will post all of our contact info on there after the show. So there you go. And then, okay, I think that's about it. You guys got anything else you want to just add? Real quick?
Does anyone out here in the live audience have any questions? Just here for support.
All right. So that is going to about wrap us up. If you don't have any last minute questions, we got
Pamela, we'll post that.
Contact info. Like I said, Pam, we'll post that info on the Fishing Report page, which I know you liked it recently, so you should see that. So should see that there, and I will post Brent's, Kenny's, and mine.
And you can go like us all on Facebook, too.
For sure.
And
100%.
That'll help you keep up with everything,
100%. And so, Brent, your Real Native Fishing Charters on Facebook. Yes. Kenny, Real Epic Charters on Facebook. And
Facebook, Instagram.
Plug and Fly Charters on Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to like those, follow us. That would help us out a bunch. And then also follow Big Ben Fishing Report. If you don't already follow the Fishing Report page, We've got our giveaway. So
Yes.
here's what I'm going to do. We're not going to announce our giveaway live, but I am going to announce our giveaway winner tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the announcement of our giveaway winner. So if you don't already like and follow, if you entered the giveaway, that announcement will be tomorrow. So make sure that you pay attention to that because that will go up tomorrow. We will be back at you next month in, gosh, it's May. It's almost the beginning of summer. First Tuesday in May. So be looking for that, and we'll give you some information as to when and where we will be doing that as we get closer to May. Brent, I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Hey, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. We appreciate you coming on and joining us this month, and maybe we'll have you back in the future as well. Kenny, it's been good. We want to thank Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals and the Trading Post for being our sponsor for this month. Again, if you get a chance, check them out at KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com or call Stephanie at Stephanie Weldon at 772-284-0124 for any of your rental needs in Keaton Beach, Florida. Guys, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap us up. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Again, I'm Captain J. Carson, Captain Kenny Mullins, and Captain Brent Woodard. We will see you next month.